I want to first off ask you, please put what your team total is inside of this chat, what you guys issue paid last month, just so I have a better idea of who I'm speaking to. So for those of you that are all in here and listening, go ahead and just put, okay, Nicole, 300, awesome. Awesome, Heather, 17. Okay. 4 milli. There we go, Mahmood. That's awesome. Well, sweet, you guys. So this is going to be for lessons I've learned from going from $0 a month to currently $7 million a month. And I'll start by sharing my story if you guys don't know me. This will be brief, but I started as a college dropout where I had a friend of mine walk into my house and he introduced me to sales. He was smiling like ear to ear. And I asked him, I said, why are you smiling like that? He's like, I just made $1,000 in an hour. I said, well, that's insane money. What are you selling? He's like, life insurance. And at first I was like, what is that? Break it down. So he breaks it down to me. And I end up finding a practice company. And then I come over here a couple months later and I find Family First Life. And so that was 5 years ago. So I'm going to walk you guys through what took me from $0 of income a month to now currently 250,000 plus a month, and how we have our agents getting paid at a super high level and all the lessons I've learned. So the first thing I want to touch on is the foundation of what your business is built on. Does anyone have a guess of what the foundation of your business is built on? That's a great guess. Leads. Love that. Hard work for sure. Got it. I love every single one of those. And they all have a role. But your foundation is going to be built on sales and you getting paid and being profitable. And the easiest way for you to be profitable is to sell at a super high level. And I want to start by giving you guys this really simple equation that's always helped me out. So write this down. Your workflow plus your lead flow is going to equal your cash flow. It's very simple. If you guys stick to a schedule and you have consistent leads every single week, and as long as you can carry out a same attitude, you will go and start producing at a high level. And a couple other things, and most of you guys are probably top producers in here, I hope. Lead flow plus your workflow equals your cash flow. The second thing is understand the position of who you're dialing. They have filled out, 6 to 8 questions online. Then they've taken a phone call from you, from Antonio, who's a random person. And now they're actually listening to you. These people want your help, so you need to assume the close at all times. If you make it weird, then it gets weird. So assume the close always. The third thing I want to talk about like just being a top producer, because this is super important, is when I was in hospitality before I started doing this, when I would clock into my job, I would have to put my phone in the locker and I wouldn't see my phone for the next 8 hours. So if my mom called me, if my girlfriend called me, if my buddies called me, they couldn't get a hold of me. But when you come into 1099 sales, you're on your phone 24/7. So if your buddy texts you, you see it. If your mom calls you, you see it. If a friend calls you or texts you, you see it. And so one of the biggest things is being really strong at setting boundaries up early on with your friends and family and having that schedule disciplined. And this is the most important thing, because the only way to lead other people is to lead yourself. And this is like the most powerful thing that I could say on this call the whole time. You're never going to build a big business if you cannot lead yourself. Because how do you expect other people to follow you when you can't even follow your own advice? So protect your time at all costs. Have conversations with your friends, with people in your lives that you're close to, and let them know, like, this is my schedule. This is what it looks like. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is I remember I did my first $10,000 week, and then the next week I got smoked. I did like 6 or 7K, and I was pissed. But what I noticed was when my goal was focused on like the actual number hitting 10,000, it was harder for me to hit it. And when I started focusing my goal on my activity, then the result always followed. And so I knew that if I did, so when I sold in the field, and I've also sold virtually for about 18 months, but primarily I was selling in the field. And if I ran 30 appointments a week, I knew I was going to sell 10K. For you guys virtually, if you do 6 to 8 presentations a day, minimum you should close two. One. You should close one. In my opinion, you should close two. Okay. But I knew if I did 6 to 8 presentations every single day, that I would close one. If I did 1 to 2 deals a day, I was going to make a profit. I was going to keep those chargebacks away, the whole 9 yards. So my goal was just to get 6 to 8 presentations every single day because I know that I would close one. All right. So that's the first little section that I want to talk to you guys about. Next up is I'm going to be spitballing a lot because I just was like writing down some random notes. So I'm just going to go through a ton of lessons that I've learned. And the first section I want to talk on is like my thoughts on leadership. So we already discussed topic number one, which is learn to lead yourself before you can lead others. So look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this question. Am I somebody that's worth following? Like Jake, like, am I somebody that's worth following? You got to ask yourself that and be honest. If you're not, that's okay. Honestly, a lot of the days, like I look myself in the mirror and I'm like, dude, like I got a lot of shit in my life and I'm just trying to get better. I don't know if I'd follow myself today. Right. But then that's when I can make the adjustments, when I can start looking myself in the mirror and being honest and having that level of accountability. That's the first thing on my thoughts on leadership. The next thing is actually the definition of leadership. To me, I heard this from Alex Hormozy, and he said, a leader is someone that gives more to the tribe than they take. So you're constantly giving more than you actually take. And that's just a really good reminder to ask yourself, am I giving more to my team? Am I giving more to my people than I'm actually taking, right? So that's my definition of leadership. Feel free to take that. Next up, I have just understand, like I've been talking to a lot of people about this in my life, is there's always trade-offs. So if you guys want to make $1,000,000, here are the trade-offs that you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to give up your time. You're going to have to invest this amount of money. You're going to have to go through these failures. You're not going to have Saturdays. But, we could go through the whole resume, right? If you want to lead a really big team, you have to understand the trade-offs that it comes with. Leadership is a heavy blessing to bear. People are going to call you at 9 o'clock at night when you're with people that you care about. When I was rolling in bed last night, someone called me. And all I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, it's like 11 something. You got to be effing kidding me. But then I was thinking to myself, no, this is why I get paid the money that I do, because it's in my job description. I have to pick up the phone and help handle people's problems and also teach them how to handle their own problems. That's the thing a lot of people don't understand. I am not always going to handle your problems. I'm going to teach you how to handle your problems. But one of the biggest things I see is like, I answer my phone. Now, if you're calling me and I know you're going to ask me stupid questions, trust me, you ain't going to get a hold of me. That's for sure. Like if you ask me a couple dumb questions, I'm not answering. So I just want you guys to really understand the trade-offs that you're about to get into, and it is all worth it to make the money and to provide like the result that we have. But outside of money, like this has grown me into a person that I never ever imagined. I came from being honestly addicted to drugs and alcohol to now somebody that is not burdened by that, to actually I'm helping people, helping my mom, helping my dad, helping my friends around me, and being a good servant to the Lord. And it's like that I never thought would even come out of my mouth. So outside of the money, just like the path that this takes you on self-improvement is amazing. Because there's a lot of pressure and pressure builds diamonds. So that's that. Now, next up, quick tip is this. Good news travels down and bad news travels up. I'm going to say it again. Good news travels down, bad news travels up. And if you're leading a team, you need to talk to your leaders and also share this with your agents. If your agents have a problem, they need to go upwards to you, to the people that can help them, not to their peers and not to people that are below them. Because the whole thing is just share good news. The biggest battle that you're doing yeah. Actually, I love that you just said this. You just put that in the chat. Matt, you just took my next line, bro. Good work, Matt. That's awesome. No, you're good, dude. Um, but yeah, so good news travels down, bad news travels up. Next thing I was going to say exactly what Matt said. Agents do half of the good you do, and they double down on the negative you do. And it was funny. So I've been working on my tongue. I've been working on not swearing. And I went over to one of my friend's house, and he has like a 2.5-year-old, I believe, or two and a half, just really learning like how to speak. He's mimicking everything his dad does. And he wanted to go and show me like his new tractor, his toy in his playroom. So I was like, cool. And I don't know what we were doing. I think I like hit one of his toys when I walked in there and I said like, "Oh, darn it, like shoot." I didn't swear, but I said something like that. And right when we got out of the little playroom, and we were walking back, he's like, "Darn it, darn it, darn it." And he just starts saying it. And his mom looks at me and I'm like, "Oh, brother." I'm like, "This is great." Like, I'm definitely, like, don't mess with Mama Bear. Yeah, shake my head for sure. But it taught me that people are always watching us and they mimic what we do. And so that's why I just want to share that story to really drive home the point of agents do half of the good you do and they do double the negative. So if you complain, they're going to complain 10 times the amount. If you can't figure out how to solve problems, they can't figure out how to solve problems. If you want them to sell 20K, dude, go and sell 40K. If you want them to do 40K, go and sell 80K. So that's that. Now, the next thing is I'm currently down in Austin, Texas, and we've been talking a lot about standards. And I'll ask you guys this. If I had to ask every single one of you in here, like, what is your standard? What are your non-negotiables that you have daily? Be honest with yourself. Would you be able to answer that? Just put a 1 if you guys have a non-negotiable, if you have standards in your life. Sort of. Okay, cool. Awesome. So my standard, I'm just looking at everyone that's typing this in, was really simple. I'm a big believer in just doing like 3 to 4 things that move the needle forward every single day. And what that looks like for me is every single day I have to work out. If I do not work out, I will go mentally nuts. And that is like my saving grace for all the stress and the things that come in my life. That's number 1, workout. The second thing is reading a personal development book, like getting something to get my mind right. For me, my favorite book is the Bible. It's the best book I've ever read. It's the one that's helped me the most. And every other personal development book all just stems from the Bible. They just word it differently. So start in Proverbs if you're new to that. But that's number 2, personal development. Next is when I was selling, it was get a sale a day. I always wanted to get up on the scoreboard every single day. The fourth one is talk to 2 people every single day about the business. And it's crazy because I've never been the best salesman. I've never been the best recruiter, but I've done these things and I've thrown my seed every single place I've gone. I've had 2 conversations. I planted 2 seeds, then 2 seeds, then 2 seeds, then 2 seeds, then 2 seeds. And next thing you know, after you've done that, you had these conversations. Actually, on this point, like I'll share something with you. I met this guy in the sauna yesterday. He was doing he was detailing cars. What was his name? Jaden. So we talk. I send him this video of like a BOM essentially. Now, I'm not sure if he watched it, so I call him this morning and he doesn't answer. So I voice message him. I'm like, hey, bro, hope you have an amazing week. Hope the business goes well. Let me know what I can do for you. Also, let me know what you liked about that video. Because there's a big difference between just planting a seed and then never going back and actually watering it. So when you find quality people and recruits, you have to understand, you have to water it. You have to build the relationship. So not to get off topic, but those are my standards every single day are those four things. Well, three. It's only honestly for me, it's three right now. Holy cow, my fingers are going all over the place. But um, work out, get in the word, talk to two people every single day, and then I got plenty more to do. But those are my big three. Now, what's up, Bobby? Let's see, get everyone involved, the more ownership you have. Okay, sweet. The next thing is what is the actual like punishment if you don't hit your standard? Inside of our office, if you miss a sale, if you don't make a sale a day, if you don't hit your workout, if you don't, do personal development, you run a mile. If you don't do the mile that day, it carries over and it doubles. What I've noticed, like for myself this past week, is I remember I didn't do 2 recruiting calls one day, and then I forgot to run the mile. The next day I had to run 2. And I didn't want to run the miles, but I was like, all right, let me do it. I ran the freaking miles. And while I was running, I just told myself, I'm never going to miss my 2 conversations a day because I don't want to ever run these stupid miles again. And for me, it was like, pain is the best teacher. Yeah, no Forrest Gumps, no Forrest Gumps, no Forrest Gumps. We'll get a chant going. And what's funny is we have a goal, like most of our guys' goal in our office is 10 to 15K weeks. If they don't hit that, they run 5 miles. So we had 2 guys last week run 5 miles on a Sunday. And then we got one guy that he didn't run them yesterday, so he's going to run 10 miles. And we're creating a culture that has accountability, but it has to start with you. Now, if you want to get people to have ownership over the ideas that you have, you have to get everyone involved. And this is really important when you have like a team like 5, 10, I mean, any size team. I sat down, I went through everyone's standards, and I was like, hey, you guys decide what is the punishment if you don't hit one of your daily non-negotiables? What is the punishment if you guys don't hit your goals for the week? They were the ones that decided what the punishment was. So that got them involved, which allowed them to have more ownership of the idea that we're setting in place for the office. So the more involvement equals the more ownership. Sweet. All right, you guys all still with me? Good? Cool. Next up, I'm going to go through some quick lessons. I don't know how I forgot this, but friendly competition is the best way to motivate a salesperson. Last week, we did this thing called Throwdown Thursday where we went head to head with our San Antonio office. So I took all the guys in Austin and we went down to San Antonio. And what we did was we placed them with somebody that, typically issue paid the same amount as them. And they went head to head, like they were dialing side by side and they were competing. And if those of you that played sports, the most fun about sports is competing, is going to battle. And we don't have that a lot in our life. But the beautiful thing is in sales, we get that every single day because we get to compete with ourselves and others. So just as a leader, remember how powerful competing is. And take Throwdown Thursday, pair people up with other top producers. Honestly, start talking some crap, like have some fun, dude. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is like the power of proximity. And what I mean by that is we grew our organization for the last 3.5 years all virtually. Like, yes, I was in offices, but I never really ran my own. And our group didn't have offices. We were all virtual. And what I started noticing with every time we got together, we performed like 5 times better. And so I brought this gentleman down named Leighton last week from North Carolina into our office here in Austin. I said, what were your biggest takeaways of the week? And he was like, dude, just being around everybody made me work harder. It made me understand the level of intention, how assumptive these agents are, how dialed in they are on the phone, like what their day-to-day process looks like. And so I share this with you because if you're near an office or you have a team, get them together. Please get them together because there's a lot of power in proximity, just being close to people winning. The next thing is one of the most important that I've picked up from Sean Mike is with agents, you have two jobs with them. Is one, to instill belief, like breathe life into them, instill belief. You do that through testimonies, stories, encouraging words, by getting them results. That's the biggest one, is you get people paid. I mean, that's the easiest way to instill belief in them. But the second thing is by minimizing people's fear. So a lot of agents are going to have fear around, oh, I don't want to post on social media. Okay. Walk me through, like, what's your concern on social media? And they're going to give you a couple of reasons, and you just have to minimize their fear. Well, I don't want people to judge me, or they're going to think it's this, they're going to think it's that, right? So just focus on minimizing people's fear. And if you guys aren't on Sean Mike's call on Friday at 12 Eastern, he does the best job at really articulating this concept. And so I don't want to be the one to like break it down and it's in depth. Just watch how Sean Mike carries himself when people ask him questions and they have concerns, and watch how he minimizes their fear. Another quick lesson. So I asked the guys today, I said, oh, we rounded them all of them up, and we were asking them what was like a lesson you've learned recently that's helped you out. And one of the guys asked me, and I want to share this with you. So the enemy, right? He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so I'm obviously a God-fearing man, but this is like for everyone to know. But the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And the biggest battleground that we have is in our freaking head, upstairs, our thoughts. That's the real estate the devil is coming after. And the biggest thing he's going to try to do inside of all of y'all and all of us is plant doubt and fear, anxiety, all that stupid stuff. Doubt, fear, anxiety. And that has been something that I battled with just the last couple months. And I was like, no, this is from the enemy. My job is to take every thought captive, give it to God, and be like, yo, I can't handle this stuff right now, bro. I need you to take this and just remind me of who I am, right? And so I want you guys to focus on that, because when you have doubt, when you have fear, that is not the truth. That is a lie that the devil is going to try to tell you guys to get you off your game, because every single one of you has a huge purpose to lead people, to lead yourselves, to lead your family. And so that's the stuff people don't talk about, but be aware of your thoughts, like be aware of your thought lives, and then seriously submit it to God. Be like, God, I can't freaking handle all this crazy like thoughts I'm having. Like, just please, I cast this at your feet, take it away. So I want to share that with you. Next up, I want to teach you guys how to discern a problem with an agent. So what I've noticed a lot inside of my organization is managers they'll be asked a question and then they answer it right away, which sounds right. Like, if someone asks me a question, yeah, of course I'm going to answer it. But what I mean by this is having the discernment to know what truly is the problem. So I had an agent the other day that's like, these leads, they don't work. And I'm like, okay. And so I was like, let me ask you some questions. I went through his activity. That's the first thing. So this is how you discern a fraud problem. What is your actual activity? What does that look like? And he's like, I'm calling from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. because that's what we have our agents do. I was like, okay, let me see your phone and your call log. He's like, what? I was like, let me see your phone and your call log. And so he shows it to me, and I saw on his phone that he's only dialing the lead one time in a row. I was like, okay, you're supposed to call these people 3 to 4 times back to back to back in a row. I was like, switch that. He switched that, and he ended up having a 60, it was like $6,600 week. But you got to ask multiple questions to find the right problem. But how it goes for me is always direct your agents first at the activity that they're doing. Secondly, are they actually buying leads, or are they just trying to squeeze every little penny out of the leads? A lot of people do that. And then the last one is a skill set. If they're buying leads and they're doing the right activity, then we get to work on their skill set, which is the easiest one. But just understand when people ask you questions, ask them more questions back to really decipher the problem. All right, cool. Next up, one of the arts of business is learning how to delegate. Um, it saved me a ton of time, a ton of money. So you delegate in two ways. You delegate through tasks, which I don't need to explain. And then you also delegate through authority. And this is the one that will help you the most. But I first want to focus on tasks. So I remember one time I was selling like 40K. My team was growing. This is like 2020. And I was just like bombarded. You know, I was new into the business. I was trying to manage my personal life and could not like breathe. It just felt like I couldn't breathe. And I called Zach and I was like, Zach Twardowski is my mentor. I was like, bro, I don't know what to freaking do. And he's like, man, he's like, it's time to get staff. And I was like, well, I'm like, I don't think I can afford staff. He's like, no, you cannot afford not to have it. He's like, because you calling the carriers and doing this and checking your emails and da 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 da. He's like, does that make you money? I said, no. He's like, there's only three things you ever need to be doing in this business: selling, recruiting, developing. That's it. And then he's like, write down everything that you do this week, and anything outside of those three boxes, hire a staff that will do those, because you're going to pay them 10, 12 bucks an hour. And your time is worth, call it $200, $300 an hour. So think about how much money you saved. You just saved 280 bucks an hour. I was like, huh, I never thought about it that way. Because he had to just reframe my mind, right? He had to minimize my fear. And that's the first thing. If you guys are selling 30K and you're really building a team, go through the activities that you're doing that don't make you money. Get a staff. We have, VAs are 400 bucks a week, and have them do that, and then double down. Now, when you get staff, don't slow down. Double down on your activity. I see a lot of people do that. Now, with the topic on delegating, the other thing is delegate through authority. And so what I mean by this is start shining the light on other people. One of the biggest things is you don't want to be all things to all people. And lately, a lot of guys will ask me, like, how do I handle that? I need to think about it. And I'm going to be honest, like, I sold last week just for fun on Thursday, but I'm not the best guy to teach you this anymore. But hey, Caleb, who we call Diesel, he sells 50K a month. Dude, he's amazing. Like, I'll go ask him that. Like, okay. And then what I'll start doing is I'll have Diesel run trainings on how he does 50K, on how he handles objections, how he builds the why. And then inside of the office in our agency, that creates a spotlight on him that builds authority, that he's the guy to go to with sales. Like Mahmoud Nasser, Ronnie Salem, these guys, Caleb Moore, all these people inside of my organization. If I had to go through everyone, we'd be here all day. But all these phenomenal agents, they all have had the spotlight shined on them. So all of our new reps, they go to them, right? Which allows me to really work with the builders and protect my time, because I just need to work with the highest level guys and my new directs coming in. So that's that. Next up, I got something really important, but it's another verse that says, for lack of vision, the people will perish. One of the biggest things is, as an agency owner, you need to share the vision with your agents, with your agency, and understand where you're headed. Because everyone, like, vision casting is so important. And for us, it's been super simple. Like, we want to be the biggest team inside of Family First Life. We've wanted to do that for the last 2 years, and we will do that. But our goal is also to have the most profitable agents. And right now, this year, our goal is to have over 1,000 agents making six figures. So that's just the vision, right? And also there's, a couple things inside of the Austin office. Like I would love to see guys maxing out in all categories of their life, their fitness, their faith, their finances, their friends, their family, like just crushing it. There's so many things that are like so good for you in this world outside of money that we can max out in, but we just neglect. Because like money has like this pull to it that's insane. So what I'm saying here is really, cast vision over your agency, but also, share where you see some of your managers being. Like speak life into them. Guys that just need a little bit of a confidence booster, like go up and tell them like what you see in them and share a vision for them. I think that's super important. Again, Sean Mike's one of the best at this of sharing a vision. So that's that. Now, I want to go into some technical things and then we'll go through Q&A. But how do you actually find talent? So this was 2 years in. We had 50 agents inside of the team, and I had my staff go through and figure out where did each one of these agents come from. And 48 of them came from either social media or like friends of friends. 48. And so I was like, all right, I was doing all this cold market recruiting, like all these like ZipRecruiter and Indeed and like all this stuff. And if it works for you, keep doing it. It didn't work for me. So I was like, I'm just going to put all my time and money into media now. And how do you find people? It's going to be through social media. And so right now for like my group, we just have a thing called like the good news campaign. And this is super simple that everyone can follow. If you have good news in your life, if something good happened to you, share it. If you go to dinner with your girl and it's a nice dinner, share it, bro. If you hit the gym, share it, right? If you just made some money, share it. If one of your guys made money, share it. If some guy just like learned how to handle an objection, share it. But it's pretty simple. Just focus on the good news campaign. Like just go and share good freaking news and then build the habit because consistency equals credibility. Again, consistency equals credibility. Our biggest recruit is Mahmoud Nasser, who's been a friend of mine since I was 17. And he watched me for 18 months on social media. So your best recruits are coming, but they just have to see that you can last and that this isn't some fugazi thing. Now, the other thing is go through your contacts. This is what I used to do in the field. I would go through my contacts and anybody I felt like would be good at the job, I would throw the line over their head. So what I mean by that is like, let's just say I was calling Jake and like me and Jake were boys. I'm like, hey, Jake, what's up, bro? I'm like, good. I'm like, dude, long time no see. How are you? Good, good, good. I'm like, dude, honestly, man, I'm calling you because I just got started in this crazy opportunity. I've been selling life insurance, bro. And one of my managers, he's actually hiring a couple people. And I know you're super comfortable with where you're at. So like, I'm not asking you, dude, but our average guy is selling $15,000 a month. And we're looking for guys that are hardworking, that are charismatic, and then like another trait that like you would embody, Jake, whatever. And anyone that you refer us, because I know you're a well-connected guy, my manager sends you $500. Do you know anybody or can you think of anyone, dude? And Jake will be like, usually they're like, I'll get back to you. I'm like, cool. But what happens is, since I didn't ask Jake to come and work for me, he's thinking to himself, what the hell? I don't like working at this restaurant. I don't like my blue collar job. I don't like my corporate job, whatever it is. These guys are really making 15K a month, and I embody all of those character traits. Then what do you think happens? They start tuning into you on IG. They start watching what you're doing. They watch how you move. So that plants the seeds. So like you just begin planting seeds. Now the next thing is, yeah, don't directly ask them. The next thing is outbound messaging. So there's 3 guys inside of my group. So I've been doing outbound messaging for 3 years. Yeah, 3 years, and we've hired like 4 guys from it. But those 4 guys all do well over $1 million a month. and they will do $10 million a month for sure. So outbound message people, and like my message has always been like, what's up, bro? You look like a closer. Are you a closer? Like that's been my message. I actually have my staff running now, so I don't know exactly what we message now, but that was my personal message. If I saw a story of them, I would slide up on the story and build a relationship like that. But if you're not getting new eyeballs on your page, you're doing yourself a disservice. And it's also funny, real quick, if you expect to grow your business, but you can't spend 2 hours promoting yourself every single day, don't expect to grow your business. Like, if you can't sit and message 30 people in the morning for an hour or like spend time making a video, don't expect to grow. Like I said, there's trade-offs in this thing. You have to put yourself out there. You do have to film. You do have to message people. You do have to get uncomfortable. So that's that. Now, I want to share one of our agents named Tanner. He has had an insane result with us. Tanner Mendelson, for those of you guys that do know him or don't know him, he scaled from like $0 a month to consistently making over 150K a month within 9 months. And he's 21. He's retiring his mother. He bought a really awesome car. Just an amazing young man. Like super proud of you. So Tanner, bro, if you're on here, dude, I know you're probably just working right now. So I want to share what I've seen with him because he's been one of the craziest case studies I've seen. When he shared on social media, what he did differently was he always spoke to his ideal avatar. It's like you have to ask yourself the question, who am I speaking to? Tanner just spoke to his old self. So whatever your old self is, speak to them, speak to the pain points, speak to the doubts, and go through and chat GBT that. Like tell it all about your avatar and then ask chat GBT to come up with creative prompts for you. And then just let that thing do its thing. Next up is Tanner shared undeniable evidence. He he posted more bank statements and commission statements than anybody I've seen. And no one could deny that. Because you remember in Wolf of Wall Street, where it's like, you show me a pay stub for 67K and I'll quit my job right now. It's like, dude, that's a powerful lesson right there, you know? So there's a lot of excuse me, start sharing undeniable evidence. Now, the next thing is Tanner also shared his losses, his struggles. Because when I tell you guys that I'm a banged up person, I'm not always perfect, here's all my struggles that I've had in my life, da 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 da, that allows you to relate to me. Because if I just look like this super polished dude, you guys are going to be like, I'm not like that. And I'm not a super polished guy. I want you to know like who I am and I want to be authentic about it. I want to be authentic about the problems that I have because then what we can do is we can relate to each other, which allows the message to get across more. So that's that. Um, that's actually what I got for you guys today. And I'm more than happy to answer some questions. But what I will just tell you is the last thing that I remember, it was my second month in. I had just like had a really, really strong month. And I remember calling my pops and I was like, dude, I think I just found something that's going to change like our lives forever. And I, walked him through insurance and if you, if you can stay in this game for 10 years, he's like, you will make more money than you've ever imagined. And in 5 years, I made more money. I've had a higher quality of life. I've met an amazing people. I've developed into a person that I'm actually proud of. And I did not expect it to come this quick. And when you're on that come up, it feels like forever. But when you make it, it feels like this. And I just want to share that with you because the name of the game, how you win this game is the player just has to stay on the board. That's all you have to do. You just have to stay in the fight. Just stay on the board. Just stay on the freaking board. Just show up. The heaviest weight is in the gym is the front door, right? I always love that saying, like the heaviest weight in the gym is front door is just getting there. So when you walk in, just move with intention. But yes, guys, that is what I got for you guys today. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll field a couple questions. Cool. Sweet, you guys. Well, happy freaking Monday. It's awesome for you guys all to be on here, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.